2, 1. We're now living in a world where simply everyone cares about privacy. Today, under the government subtitles, I'll be providing framing. Secondly, I'll be talking about burdens under both sides. Then I'll be talking about our stance or end goal, and I'm providing two arguments. Firstly, about how DeSantis himself, talking from the point of view of DeSantis himself. Secondly, I'll be talking about human rights issues and privacy itself. Okay, starting from definitions, right? What does preventing life means, or what does preventing life looks like, right? We say by preventing life, it is permanent and you can't reverse it, as mentioned before. Okay, few pieces of framing here. This debate is not only from the perspective of DeSantis himself, but also the world as a whole, right? SiteGov is going to argue why the drug creates more harms and problems, not only from the perspective of DeSantis, but the world in general. Secondly, we say not all lies are inherently bad. Obviously, it's definitely going to come up with arguments about how lies it's genuinely bad. We say lies that harms others are inherently bad, and we do agree with this. What we do not agree is that white lies are bad, and we say that is the main point that main point about the lie that we're going to discuss about within this debate, right? Thirdly, this type of drug wouldn't be taken voluntarily anyways. Opposite can come up and tell us that people or individuals, they'll take these drugs voluntarily. They'll go take these drugs simply because they want to. Why? Because firstly, if people want to tell the truth, they'll do it voluntarily anyways. They don't need the drug. They do not need to take the drug to actually tell the truth. People who want to tell the truth can tell the truth. We say it is more likely that it's utilized by third party, or people who want to trick others and utilized by these people in order to harm them, right? Not resort to drug, right? It is limiting their ability and unable to have their own privacy. It is more likely for others to buy the drug and harm other people, such as using it to trick people, rather than taking it for themselves, since individuals who want to say the truth will say it anyways. Fourthly, opposite cannot argue that they create it and they don't want to use it, and they just leave it there, right? Since it makes no difference between goth and op, and opposite should be arguing on the situation that pills will be utilized, pills will be used, and pills will be taken by individuals. And basically, pills do exist within the society, and it goes around probably bought by individuals or people who want to use the drug on other people. What is the burden under SiteGov and SiteGov? We say firstly, under site government, we need to prove why privacy and these rights are probably much more important. Secondly, we need to discuss about the whole issue from the DeSantis point of view, right? Thirdly, we see as in general, we still need to provide how it actually creates much more harm when you utilize the drug, utilize the drug to actually harm other people, and when the drug is available to for other people. Okay, so. Therefore, for site opposition, they need to prove why the drug itself it's probably much more harmful, it's beneficial, and why the drug should be able to be sold and on the market and be utilized by individuals. What is our stance here? We say people should have the right to choose what they want to say, right? Since we've already said that these drugs are not taken voluntarily anyways, therefore it means that they're forced by other individuals to take these drugs, and say the truth, and we say that's not something that we actually want. Our end goal is to firstly create a world with privacy. Secondly, we want to also benefit the actor themselves. We say the actor will be largely benefited without when the drug is being destroyed. Okay, starting from first argument, principal argument about how the actor himself will feel guilty and feel bad. What is the premise here? We see when scientists changes the society in a bad way, when scientists see these harms, he or she will most likely feel bad, and therefore we say these scientists themselves probably has an incentive to take down the drug anyways. Firstly, it's not only because it's not being tested. Secondly, it's probably because the harms that it might create, the potential harm that it might bring to society, and therefore dragging down the reputation of the scientist himself or herself, and even morality where him or her will feel bad about the actions that they have done themselves. Okay, so what two layers here, right? Firstly, it's how they will actually feel guilty. We see the scientists, it's most likely to feel guilty when they see that they have changed the world in a negative way, such as as I said, people not the human right of people not being respected, and violated. Secondly, it's also like these individuals not being able to say these white lies, which will be mentioned later on. Secondly, about how it's actually bad for the scientists themselves. We see when these people, not only do they feel guilty, as I've already said, the reputation of these scientists is most likely going to drop when everyone knows about how they produce these drugs, how they produce a drug for to prevent people from lying. Not only will they themselves feel guilty, but people are going to point fingers at them, telling the scientists that you have been doing something wrong. Their reputation will drop anyways. Even if these aren't true, like my second speaker, we'll be talking about the second principle, about how it violates human rights, not only about privacy, but also about like these white lies that are going to be mentioned. Argument 3, about how it creates more distrust and lying in the community, will also be brought up by my second speaker. Therefore, we probably propose. What can I say? Okay. No, let's say.
You have speaker preference speech and now welcome to